Hey, welcome back everybody. This is Freight Dog Danny, and I guess I should say welcome back to me, because it has been 4 months since I have ridden and put out a video. So I've been missing you guys a lot and missing being on my bike. Today is December 26th, the day after Christmas. And we have an unusually warm day here in Southwest Ohio. It is 52 degrees right now, about 4:30 in the afternoon. So I'm just going to take a short ride today until about dark, so that'll be about another 45 minutes or so. And we're starting out in 7 Mile Park. For those of you that have not seen my videos before, I'm located in Southwest Ohio, about 25 miles west of Dayton, Ohio, which is about 10 miles from the Indiana state line. Like I said, I am Freight Dog Danny. I'm a retired Air Force pilot and airline pilot, and I've been spending my entire adult life flying freight and troops all around the world, hence the name Freight Dog Danny. Even in my civilian airline career, we had the contract for flying troops around the world, and so I've done a good bit of that. The only passengers that I've flown in a commercial airliner have in fact been the U.S. military, and that has always been an indeed honor. I've been retired from the military since 2008 now, and I retired recently 3 years ago from my airline job in 2020 when I hit the mandatory retirement age of 65. Like I said, we started our ride from 7 Mile Park. It has that name because it's along the 7 Mile Creek, which runs northward from Cincinnati up through our town of Eaton, Ohio. And we're just going to ride around town here, some on the little trail that we just got through, and the most of it will be on the roads like I am right now. Day after Christmas, so I don't expect there's going to be a whole lot of traffic, so hopefully we do okay. The reason I haven't ridden in so long is that I've had a 20-year bout with arthritis in my knees. Started when I was on my last active duty tour with the Air Force from the reserves in 2003, and the Air Force put me through all the treatment that they had, steroid shots mostly, and also the drug Celebrex, and I took that for about 3 years until I found out it was destroying my liver, so I stopped that right away. And I got off my active duty tour in 2007 and then retired in 2008. And the Air Force had put me on the drug Celebrex. I'm sorry. I discovered the natural spice, the natural anti-inflammatory turmeric, which worked extremely well for me for, gosh, I guess about 15 years. And anyway, it worked real well until it didn't, and that was about June of this past year. I managed to make it through the summer riding and putting out YouTube videos, but in August, about August 24th, I think, was my last ride, my last video, and my knees were beginning to swell up like cantaloupes, and I had some moderate pain and discomfort, so I just couldn't ride any longer. I started getting treatment from my orthopedist again. They recommended that I continue with the gel injections. I had started the gel injections from the civilians in 2008, and that worked very, very well until, like I said, I discovered turmeric. And the injections that you get, it's called Euflexa, and it's a gel that most closely approximates the natural lubricant in your joints. And once I discovered the turmeric, though, I no longer needed to get the injection, so that worked out pretty good. But at any rate, they recommended that I start with the injections again, and it's taken me 2 months to get scheduled for an MRI so that they can evaluate me to make sure I don't need a knee replacement in one or both knees. As it happens, today, the day after Christmas, is when I got that MRI done. In about 2 weeks, I go back to have the orthopedist read it, and we'll see if I'm going to need surgery or not. But because the weather is so good today, I'm glad to be back on my bike. The swelling has gone down in my knees, and I know I'm no longer in pain. So we'll see what happens after I take this ride. It should be okay, because normally riding a bike is therapeutic for arthritis in your knees. But at least I no longer have the pain and the swelling. So anywho, the subject for today, besides my woes, first of all, before we do that, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. I really hope that you had a pleasant holiday with your family. Ours is a little hectic. We're not finished yet. Both Mrs. Freight Dog and myself are divorced. We've been together for going on 18 years. But between us, we have 8 children and 21 grandchildren. And as you can imagine, and everybody's married and has kids. And as you can probably imagine, not only do they have to visit with both sets of parents, but they also have to visit with their in-laws. See if we can get around this corner. There is a little more traffic than what I thought there would be. Let me get over in the turn lane. And we'll speed through this intersection. I got the right of way. Okay, anyways, Mrs. Freight Dog and I visited with her family on the 23rd. And we managed to have Christmas Eve and Christmas to ourselves. Nice quiet time at home watching movies. And we visit with my family coming up on the 30th, next Saturday. And then it'll be pretty much over. We don't do much on New Year's. But anyways, today's subject is a new proposed law for an e-bike license in California. It's California Assembly Bill 530, and I'll post a link to it in the description below. But usually anything that comes out of the legislature or local governments in California, I really don't look forward to and really don't pay much attention to, and hope they keep it within the confines of the California state borders. But be that as it may, if you read the narrative of this proposed legislation, it really kind of makes sense. If you have a driver's license, you will not be affected in the slightest. But what has happened is, until recently, e-bikes have really been most popular with older people or seniors, or as Rush Limbaugh used to say, seasoned citizens. Let me get around this corner here. But recently, e-bikes have become increasingly popular with young people. And that is particularly with all the inflation and high gas prices that we have today. A lot of young people are opting to never even get a driver's license. And they're attracted to e-bikes because not only are they a lot more expensive, you don't need insurance, you don't have to pay for registration, yada, yada, yada. And plus, they're a lot more fun. However, if they never get a driver's license and they're never exposed to driver's training, and they don't know anything about the rules of the road and right-of-way, and so they pose a hazard on the road. And plus, being young and stupid, they're out doing things that they probably wouldn't do had they known a little bit about the rules and regulations or the rules of the road. So what's going to happen is that anybody that does not have a driver's license is going to have to take an online riding course where all of the rules of the road will be highlighted. And then they'll have to get a state ID. And that includes anybody who doesn't have a driver's license. It will also outlaw anybody under the age of 12 from riding any class of bike. And then between the ages of 12 and 16, they will only be permitted to ride class 1 and 2 bikes. And then anybody over 16, they can ride any class of bike. But at any rate, if you don't have a driver's license, you got to take the course, get the state ID, and go from there. But it really kind of makes sense. You know, it's not going to affect anybody with a driver's license, and but it's just going to be the people between under the age of 12, because you won't be able to ride a bike or an e-bike at all. 12 and 16, class 1 and 2 only, and then over 16, you can ride a class 3, but you still have to have that online course and the state ID. Additionally, it stipulates that anybody that rides or rides as a passenger on an e-bike has to have a certified helmet, and it has to be certified by either the Consumer Product Safety Commission or the American Safety Testing and Compliance, I think it is. I'm not 100% sure. It's the ASTC. And this guy wasn't looking for me at all. So that just demonstrates why you always have to be on your toes on an e-bike or any kind of bicycle. But like I said, this legislation really makes a lot of sense if you've never had driver's training, you don't know what you're doing out on the road, through no fault of your own. But this is just going to make it a law that you're going to have to get that training and get that state ID. If you already have an ID, you're largely unaffected. So that really makes sense. So for once we get something out of California that's making some sense. I don't know how they did it, but they did. But by the time it's by the time it's passed, who knows what's going to happen with it. We went by these kids before, they shot something into the air, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get hit or not. Okay, we're going to hang a left here. It looks clear, so we're going. We're going to get up here past our high school, and I'm going to get out on some country roads and minimize my time mixing around with the traffic. Now, we just went by one of my favorite places to start my bike rides from, and that is Fort St. Clair, and that is a post-Revolutionary War fort that was built in 1792. However, the park is closed right now to pedestrian traffic and bicycles, only because every year at Christmas time they decorate the entire park with Christmas lights, and individuals and businesses get together and decorate up the park, and it looks really, really good. It only opens up at 6 p.m. and that's going to be a little cold for me. And plus, the lines have been extremely long. I went by it the other day at 5:20, and they were still back. They were already backed up outside of the park. So I don't think I have to mess. I don't think I need to mess around with that tonight, particularly as with the temperatures dropping below 50 after the sun goes down. It's already starting to get a little chilly. I've only been on the bike for 14 minutes, and so I'm not sure how long I'm going to last. I'm running my battery down for winter storage. I started out at 84%, but after only 15 minutes, it's down to 49%, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on it so that it doesn't get down too low. I'm probably going to have to charge it up just a little bit to get it at that 75% level that they recommend. I got a little bit of traffic coming from my right, so I'm going to have to stop. Well, maybe not. Here we go. Okay, this puts us out in corn country, and we'll be pretty much away from the traffic for the next 5 or 10 minutes. We're going to make it a short ride tonight. We're going to go around the horn here in the corn stubble country, and then we'll go back by Fort St. Clair and on back to my car. So what else can we talk about? In October, I attempted to do a video between bouts of the arthritis, and I had some production issues and editing issues, so I never published that video on YouTube. So we can talk about what that subject was, and that was the Amish. Who could believe, or who would have expected that the Amish would get into e-bikes? Well, they are. Now, if you don't know, there is no overriding central authority for Amish, German Mennonite, and German Baptist churches. Each local church is an authority unto itself. And so the church elders in that particular area determine what level of technology their members will be permitted to use. And e-bikes are more and more being used by all three religious sects, the Amish, the Mennonites, and the German Baptists. You know, some sects can drive cars, some cannot. Some can ride bikes, some cannot. Some cannot ride a bike, but they have like a 26-inch scooter. If you can imagine a 26-inch bike without your normal crossbar, and there's just a platform between the wheels that they can stand on, and they push it by foot, much the same that a kid would push a scooter. But now, you know, those sects that are allowed to use electricity, and when they do use electricity, it usually has to be from a generator or a solar grid, and the generators that they use are generally either propane or natural gas. And you know, they don't want them using gasoline for some reason. But again, it varies from sect to sect or church to church, and but they're really beginning to get into it. I have a log home, and my home was actually built by the Amish, but they traveled 2 hours by a van every day. This particular group of Amish were not allowed to drive at all, but they can hire a vehicle to go wherever they want. And so the e-bikes are largely being used for commuting to and from work and going to the store to buy groceries. And this group of Amish, you know, they came with 8 or 10 guys every day, and their labor rate was so cheap that I could afford to pay for their transportation. When it got toward the end where they were only doing trim work, they'd send out 2 or 3 guys, and I could no longer afford to pay it because the transportation was just too much for only two or 3 guys. So I had to wind up firing them when they got down to the trim work, and I hired some local craftsmen to finish my house. But this group of Amish, they were what you're probably used to seeing on television. They were not allowed to have any kind of adornments, and that included a wristwatch. Most of them, instead of having a pocket watch, they had an old Timex with the band taken off, and they had a string tied to it to one of their belt loops. And these guys didn't have any buttons, they didn't have any zippers, or they had buttons, but they didn't have any zippers, no snaps, and they didn't want their photograph taken. So they were one of the more basic sects of Amish, and I doubt if those guys are on e-bikes. But over in Holmes County, Ohio, that's a real big concentration of Amish, just like in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And they are actually building their own e-bikes there, and I will put a link in the description to them as well. I think it's just called EBikes of Holmes County. But the Walmart there actually has e-bike recharging stations, and they have indoor parking for their e-bikes. And so that's pretty cool. Now, let me give you a little background on the so-called Pennsylvania Dutch. As it happens, the Pennsylvania Dutch are not Dutch, they're German. They, all of them come from the Alsace area of southwestern Germany. And they begin in Switzerland, go northward between the French border and the Rhine River up to the Belgium and Luxembourg area. And if any of you are history buffs, you'll probably remember that prior to World War II, after World War I and the Treaty of Versailles, the Germans lost the Alsace-Lorraine area of southwest Germany. And And so in the mid to late 1930s, Hitler took the Alsace-Lorraine area back because it was largely German-speaking people, and that's where the Amish came from. However, they all immigrated in the 18th and 19th centuries, and so none of them were affected by Hitler. But they call them the Pennsylvania Dutch because back then the simple farmers didn't know any better, and when the Amish said that they were Dutch, when they said that they were Deutsch, the locals interpreted that to mean Dutch, because Deutsch is German for German. You know, the Germans call their country Deutschland, and so that's where the name comes from. They're not Dutch; they are all actually German. If anything, they're excuse me. If anything, if they're not German, they're Swiss, or they come from that German-speaking region of France that's called the Alsace-Lorraine area. But again, who would have thunk that the Amish would be riding e-bikes? And I guess their rate of adoption is higher than us. So who would have thunk it? We have a lot of Amish in my area, but I haven't seen anybody riding an e-bike. That is not to say that they aren't riding them, but I just haven't come across it yet. We do see the horse and buggies from time to time. Wow, that guy snuck up on me. Like I said, we do see the horse and buggies from time to time. We see them in the stores all the time, but a lot of them drive around here, and I think most of those are German Baptists and Mennonites, and the ones that are not driving are the Amish. But I'll keep an eye out for Amish on e-bikes, and if I see any, I will give you a full report. Yeah, I'm 22 minutes into the ride, and I'm telling you, it is beginning to get a little bit chilly, so I'm looking forward to get back to the car. We're going to take a right up here at the stop sign, and then we're going to be on one of our state roads for about a mile and a half, I guess, and then it won't be too long before we're done with the video. After today, I've taken a look ahead at the weather. I don't think we're going to have too many riding days between now and March. So when I put out a video, once I figure out how to do the green screen technique, I'll have one of my previous videos playing in the background without any sound. And you'll have an inset of me talking to you about whatever the subject of the day is. So again, once I figure out how to do that, I'll put out another video. And this one should be with you, I hope, by tomorrow, the 27th. If not, it'd be the 28th for sure. So with that, we'll call it a day. And I promise to put out videos as often as I can over the winter. So everybody have a have a good holiday and have a happy new year. We'll see you next time.